Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, I'm John, this is many a true nerd, and welcome back to Fallout Tale of Two Wastelands, where last time we explored the town of Lamplight, got to know their secrets, and even did some business with them. I won't deny they did drive a bit of a hard bargain, but we got there in the end. Human flesh for K-Fungus, a good damn deal, and speaking of human flesh, yes indeed, how about today we nip back to where we got that, the lovely town of Andale, because there is a really cool secret in that town I would like to explore. And obviously, as I was mentioning last week, I do not mean the secret that they're secretly kidnappers, murderers and cannibals. No, that's incredibly boring, everybody knows that. I mean the secret of who their victims actually were, because we can actually piece that together. But before we do that, I do just want to say, I love Andale, and I love the way it just looks like this normal community with normal people, and you've really got to dig around in the backstage areas to figure out what's going on here, because Fallout 3 just a bit too often divides humans into one of two categories. There are normal people who live in towns and they are perfectly reasonable and decent people, you can speak to them, figure out what they want, etc, etc. And then there are raiders, who are cackling evil people who live out in the wasteland, and if they see you, they'll start laughing evilly and gun you down immediately. You cannot communicate or engage with them in any meaningful way. Normal people, raiders, and never the two shall meet. But in Andale, things get a bit grey. You've got people here who are acting like normal, decent people, but secretly in the background, that's just so that they can lure people in, kill them, and eat them. And I think that's so much more interesting and indeed sinister than just, having evil cackling gangs wandering the wasteland. So much so that New Vegas did basically the same thing on a much bigger scale, because that's basically what the Ultralux is. It doesn't hurt, of course, that I adore the characters that live in Andale. They're just wonderful. Particularly Linda here.
Well, hello. Welcome to Andale, winner of the Best Town in the USA contest.
Okay, so Linda, how about you explain a little bit more about, how this contest worked, how it was judged, etc, etc.
Well, I don't right know. But we're the best one, isn't that what matters? I mean, we're the winners. Us. Not Springfield, not Rockville. Us. So like I was saying, welcome to Andale. What can the Smith family do for you?
Oh, Linda's just an absolute bloody star.
I really look forward to preparing you for dinner sometime.
Also, that's one of her sign-off lines, and that's just absolutely bloody wonderful. Oh, this town is just the best. Naturally, of course, you can get a bit more of the scoop by just wandering over to the lovely house of Old Man Harris here.
What? How? How did you get in here? What are you doing in this town? Get out! Get out while you can!
Honestly, it's quite surprising they've let Old Man Harris stay alive, given he immediately spills the beans to literally anybody who comes into town.
They're killers! Every one of them. Run! Get out while you can! Don't believe me, do you? Just check out the basement or that shed. There's a reason they're locked.
So there we go, Old Man Harris very clearly indicating what I ought to be checking out next.
Get out! Get out while you can!
Okay, I'm getting mixed messages from you. Do you want me to check out the basement or the shed, or do you want me to just go? Both the basements and the shed are very hard locked, but don't worry about that if you're not a super lockpick expert. Because if you just nip upstairs, there are keys sitting all over the place. So how about we just nip downstairs? One corpse, of course, just flops over right there. Don't worry about that. Yes, fun thing about this area, the game has to, generate new exploded corpses as you arrive. So if you just run straight down the stairs, you can very often just catch a corpse flopping to the ground. Oh, and that's a cute touch. I'm pretty sure, you can find rippers in the original Fallout 3, but yes, this mod has also added in a chainsaw, only available in New Vegas, just for, those particularly tough corpses. Obviously, once you get downstairs, you've got 10 million refrigerators, so if you want to be involved in the K-Fungus trade, then this is the place to come. Mag-flipping-nificent, another 30 available down here, beautiful. But yes, more importantly, oh my goodness, it turns out they were cannibals and murderers and kidnappers and whatnot. So if we just step back outside, then in just a second...
Hey there, stranger. I've got something that I want to talk to you about. I couldn't help but notice that you're poking around in my basement. So, be honest now, you wouldn't know anything about that, would you?
So, at this point we've got a couple of different options. If you are actually a cannibal, i.e. you've taken the cannibal perk, obviously this situation is nice and easy to resolve. You can just say, hey, fellow cannibals, let's form a club, and they're completely chill with you. That's absolutely fine. Option number 2 is to start playing a bit coy, because, yeah, the first speech check is really bloody difficult. My charisma is pretty high, speech is 100, even then, it's only a 63% chance, but if you play a bit coy, then just, go round the houses for a couple of exchanges, they'll give you a much easier speech check. But those speech checks do not yield the same resulting dialogue. If you actually pass the first much harder speech check, you get a really rather interesting bit of information. So I'm going to try and do that now, though I may need to reload, because as I say, this is a really bloody hard speech check.
I'm afraid that it just doesn't work that way.
Oh, I'm afraid it actually does, Jack, for I have the power of quick loading.
You're a breath of fresh air. Every time someone discovers our little secret, we have to hear about it. It's always, oh, how can you do this? Or, you're such terrible people, or please not me, I have a kid in Rivet City. Well, I have kids too. Family first, that's the way it works in Andale, from the day that the first 4 families decided to stay here. You're not bad, stranger. Stop on by any time and ask Linda for one of her special meat pies.
So there we flipping go, we've now talked them down, and we'll get back to precisely what he just said in a second. But, step 1, Old Man Harris doesn't seem too happy, Jack.
Yeah, well, he's hit it rough. Ever since his wife died, he just hasn't been enthusiastic about the Andale lifestyle anymore. He stays locked up in his house all day and the girls bring him his meals. He barely eats enough to stay alive, poor guy. He's all skin and bones.
Obviously you can speak to them about Old Man Harris before you go down into the basement. If you do, they're just extremely evasive, they won't actually give you any answers. And as he just promised, if you catch up with Linda outside...
Hello again. Stick around for a while. I'm thinking about making some meat cookies later. Isn't that exciting?
Oh my goodness, what a lovely community this is, and yes indeed, Linda, I would love some pie.
Oh, of course. Here you are. Enjoy.
Mag-flipping-nificent, a delicious strange meat pie. So okay, let's get back to what Jack was just saying there, which is, if you go for the more difficult speech check, he starts telling you about, yes, certain last words from people who were about to be murdered, and ended up in the basement or the shed. Don't kill me, I've got a kid in Rivet City. Now, as he is, a current resident of Andale, one could reasonably assume that this was said to him not that long ago. And that's interesting, because Rivet City doesn't actually have that many children in it. In fact, it's literally only got 2. There's CJ, mother and father accounted for, you can go and meet them anytime you want to, and then there's the Hargrave family. Hello there, Tammy. How about you remind me what's going on with your family?
My husband ran off and got himself killed and left me to raise his little brat. So don't you tell me how I should or shouldn't be.
Because the Hargrave family in Rivet City, 1, has a child, and 2, has a missing parent who wandered out into the waste and got killed. So I think we could put that together to come up with a pretty solid idea as to what occurred here. Plain and simple, one of these corpses is James Hargrave's dad. Though unfortunately, yes, my character can't put this together, and you cannot ever report to Tammy or James what actually went down. But he did not abandon his children, he didn't just wander off or anything, he was captured by cannibals and eaten. Marvellous. And speaking of James, while we're literally passing him by...
You're the bad lady that hurts people, aren't you?
I mean, okay, to be honest, he's not wrong. He's kind of got my number there. With the Child at Heart perk, you can turn this guy into a daily ammo dispenser. So, would you steal some ammo for me?
Of course I'm not afraid. I'll take it and he'll never know. I'll have it by tomorrow.
Not 100% sure who, he is supposed to be, but he will now give you ammo if you come back and speak to him every 24 hours. Not like, much ammo or good quality ammo or anything, but still, it's free ammo. What more do you want? Because yes, indeed, we're not bloody done with Child at Heart. Seriously, this perk is used cocking everywhere, and, speaking of which... Today, of course, I'm planning to start those, though, slight complication. Apparently, I already have. Now, I do not remember Bryan Wilks walking up to me, so Fallout 3 may be having a hiccup or possibly my brain is, but how about we go and do that? So I'm starting off at the Sewer Waste Station just up the road from Super Duper Mart. Yes, let's make our way into Grayditch and figure out what's going on in that bit of the world. The answer, of course, being a giant ants who can also, hang on, just there we go, they can breathe fire. But honestly, yes, fire does not hurt that much, and the ants are really not that bloody tough at all. So, not too difficult to take out most of these bastards, though I'll admit that one was a worker. Though to be honest, yes, even the soldiers are not that tough on the very highest difficulties, which I do think is a bit of a shame because, yes, the ants have actually got something really cool about them, which is they've got a very specific target you want to be going for in that's got a cool, unique effect. The antenna. Because if you cripple that, the ant frenzies and they start going for their friends. So, I kind of wish the ants were like super stupid difficult to take out, so the best option was always go for the antenna, and then, you know, make super difficult enemies go for each other. That would be super cool, but I guess you kind of get the same thing with the robots, where you can frenzy them by hitting them in the tiny back panel. Okay, quick tour of the town. I'm pretty sure, yes, the immediate ant threat has been taken care of. Let's get into business proper because, yes, those is one of those really simple early game missions. People probably end up rushing very early on into new playthroughs, simply because you can do it very quickly, very easily. It's very simple to get done. But there's actually a couple of cool little secrets buried away in Grayditch. So, step 1, let's check in with Bryan Wilks to figure out, yes, precisely what the game thinks I'm supposed to be doing right now, because, did I run into Bryan Wilks in a previous episode and just forget about it? Because I swear we did not run into Bryan Wilks. Okay, well, I've just spoken to Bryan Wilks, and, yes, this dialogue option is already greyed out, suggesting I've already said it to him, so, okay, clearly I'm just going bananas, and at some point I've spoken to Bryan Wilks, but, let's get into business here. In particular, Bryan, tell me what happened here.
It used to be kinda nice. No one bothered us there. I guess because we were so close to DC. There were 7 of us living there in tall, old brick houses. I think I'm the last one left. Those things took everyone else.
So okay, I want you to keep one thing in mind he just said, which is 7 people. Keep that number in mind, and yes, let's dig into those people a bit more, Bryan.
Besides me and my papa, there was Doc Lesko, who stayed with us, and Will Brandis, and his mama and papa, too. I guess they're all gone now.
So okay, that's a bit curious when you think about it, which is, he just told us there were 7 people. We ask him who lives in Grayditch, and what does he tell us? There's him, there's his dad, that's 2, Lesko, that makes 3, there's his friend Will, up to 4, Will's mum and dad, that's 5 and 6, so in which case, who's number 7? Still, we'll get to that in a second, because yes, the Brandis family are also pretty bloody interesting.
Well, there is Will. He was sorta my friend. And then there was his dad and his mom.
So okay, let's start off with Will.
Yeah, Will was super nice to me. He was like a year older than me, I think. He even shared his comic books with me. We explored pretty much every bit of Grayditch we could find. I think that's why the ants don't bother me. I have good hiding spots.
Alright, nothing too dramatic there, but his parents, that's the interesting thing.
Well, his mom was nice too. She was kind of quiet, but she always took care of me and my papa when we came over. I think she was sad that my mom was gone. Will's dad was... well, I don't want to be mean, but he was kind of scary. He was like, always watching me and my dad real careful, like he didn't trust us or something. He always kept staring at us from the windows of his house and typing stuff into his TV box. Will said his dad was like an old soldier or something, but he didn't like doing that stuff, so he quit.
So there we go. An old soldier, though. There's a bit more to it than that. So yes, officially as part of the mission, we're now supposed to be going into Bryan Wilks' house, finding his dad's corpse, very sad, etc, etc. But no. I'm way more interested in everybody else. So just over the street, here we go, the Brandis house. weapons just left out over here nearby to the door. One camera. We know that, yes, he was paying very close attention to his neighbours, so okay, possibly spying on them in some capacity. Hidden round the back of his fridge, we've got a toolbox containing a weapon. I believe it's a shotgun in the original Fallout 3. In this mod, they've replaced it with a 45 auto pistol for some reason. And upstairs next to his terminal, the lad is listening to Enclave radio. So, how about we just, one, pick up this random grenade he's also keeping here, so weapons all over the shop. And two, crack into his terminal. So we know the lad used to be a soldier, nipping back to his earliest diary entry back in 2276, so about a year ago. I finally found a quiet place for my family. We've been running from one settlement to the next, just trying to keep out of sight. Now I'm on the other coast, I feel much safer. So, okay, the lads come from the west coast. Very interesting indeed. Move forward a bit though, and I was scavenging some of the nearby buildings for junk to sell, and I came across a working radio. No sooner did I turn it on than I heard the familiar patriotic anthems they used to play whenever Richardson would give a speech. But this was different. Who the hell is Eden? When did this happen? Are they on this coast too? Most importantly, will they come looking for me? Because William Brandis, you might easily be able to put together if you're familiar with Fallout 2, is an escaped member of the Enclave. It's probably the earliest reference to the Enclave in the entire game, because Grayditch, don't forget, is literally just around the corner from Megaton and the Super Duper Mart. Like, you can find this terminal super early on, so it's probably the earliest reference to the Enclave in the entire game, which I think is super cool. And just in case you want categorical proof, yes, skip to his most recent entry. I can't believe I went through all that trouble to leave Navarro and make my way across the country just to get stuck in this shithole. I'll be damned if I'm going to die here. We're cut off from Lesko and Wilks, and I think we're on our own. The damn ants keep trying to find a way into the house. Even as I'm typing this, I can hear them scraping the walls looking for a way through. I don't know how much longer we can last. And that's the last entry chronologically. Now obviously this being Fallout, you probably expect a skeleton somewhere or another, but yes, no skeletons dotted about, suggesting he didn't die here, and indeed he flipping didn't. We can catch up with him later. So okay, family number 2 in this town has a bit of a secret, but what about the mysterious person number 7? We know Lesko lives in, yes, this shack here, and also in the subway station. 2 people live here, 3 people live over here. So where did person number 7 live? Well, we've got 2 candidates just down the road. We've got abandoned home number 1. There's no notes or anything here, but yes, it does feel like a pretty bloody likely candidate. We have got upset lights, we have got a gun dotted about too, there's a copy of Guns and Bullets. Someone was in this house pretty recently, but they seem to be long gone now. There's also another abandoned home the next street over, this one a bit more out of the way. Again, no obvious notes, but yes, this one feels like the less likely candidate because it's just way more trashed. It feels like it's been abandoned for significantly longer, and it's not on the same street as the other houses are. So, okay, with no notes to point in the right direction, who precisely is person number 7? And, fun fact, they're actually in the game. You can meet them. It's just staggeringly unlikely. Because person number 7 is a random encounter. You can meet someone who's from Grayditch. Just pass by a random encounter spawn, and there is a chance you'll run into someone who is from Grayditch who can tell you all about what happened there. The person is not named, I think they're just listed as a generic Wastelander, but from what they say, it's pretty clear that they themselves came from Grayditch and saw what was going on there firsthand. So, that's who person number 7 is. The game's script bothers to include a person who you might never run into at all because they're only generated at random, and plenty of friends, you just won't meet them. And I absolutely love that. I think that's adorable. Sorry, I just remembered we were supposed to be, yes, locating the corpse of Bryan Wilks' father. Got a bit distracted there, my apologies. Oh my goodness, it turns out he's dead. Who could have foreseen this? Oh, and one thing you might want to do now, by the way, is, yes, make sure you raid Lesko Shack. Because right now, your character thinks Lesko is dead. So as a result of that, yes, you can take everything and it's all just marked in green. It's not stealing after all. Lesko's dead, everybody died to the ants. When we actually find Lesko is alive later in the mission, if you come back to the shack at this point, it's officially stealing because now we know there's someone to steal off. But yes, for the time being, we think Lesko's dead, so it's absolutely okay to steal all his stuff, which is a cute touch. And though you don't actually need to do this, because yeah, you can just stumble across them anyway, this is the terminal in this shack that tells you where to go. Marigold Station, that's where Lesko's hiding out. We also get a very high level summary as to what Lesko's trying to do. So, yes indeed, he knows there is danger involved in tampering with nature, but his plan is to reduce these poor creatures back to their original state, where they were harmless using genetic recoding. So, yes indeed, he wants to take giant ants and make them into small ants again. But, unfortunately, now they cooking breathe fire. So this here is a very simple explanation as to what he's trying to do. We can get into a lot more detail later, but only if we bring the right character along. For now though, Bryan, I've got bad news, buddy.
He's dead? I guess I already knew. Besides, I'm too tired to cry anymore.
That's actually quite a sad line when you think about it, so don't you worry, Bryan. I'll sort this out for ya. Although unfortunately, yes, I think I may have missed a child at heart check because apparently I spoke to Bryan at one point in the past and just can't remember. Because if you do have child at heart, the very first time you speak to him, he can give you a supply key for a handful of extra guns and ammo. Though, it's really not a big deal. But yes, I've missed out a tiny bit of ammo by not having child at heart available earlier in this run. Okay, I say I missed out. I'm not missing out at all, because I'm just going to open it up myself. Okay, I swear in the original game, this did not contain 18 cocking pulse grenades. That was definitely not there in Fallout 3, but okay, fascinating choice you've made there, mods. I mean, obviously I am taking them, because yes, those could be very useful down the line, but still, that is a very weird change. So, now all we need to do is, yes, mosey on over in this direction, and in just a moment, before we hit the barricade, take a left and go down to Marigold Station. But there is also one other tiny unmarked location just around the corner beyond this here barricade. Just yeah, when you reach the end of Grayditch, keep going and then just loop round to the right in just a second, because this is not marked on the map, it's not important for any mission, but yes, there's just a really weird thing right here beyond those doors over there. So as you can see on the world map, I'm officially next to nothing of note, there is nothing going on here. But on the local map, yeah, this thing is often very useful for pointing out hidden doors in the ruins. Welcome to the Outpost, because, yes, there is just a tiny group of ghouls here. They are not wearing any armor or anything, but, yes, apparently they want to pick a fight with the guy who just walked in with power armor, so, honestly, terrible decision, guys. Absolutely terrible decision, but I guess it was yours to make. This is, however, a really cool location for one particular reason, which is, these are not just 3 random raiders who forgot to put on armor this morning. No. They've actually achieved something rather special. Which is, if you just mosey into their back room over here, they've captured a super mutant. He is trapped behind this here gate, which this super mutant can't open. So, yes, for reasons best known to themselves, they've made the decision to, yes, capture and hold a super mutant in super mutant prison, which is lovely. If you were wondering whether there might be an explanation on the terminal, by the way, so was I, because I forgot this was a trap and it kind of just blew up in my face a bit. So, yes indeed, this is just 3 ghouls who had the get up and go to capture a super mutant for some reason. So, back to where we're supposed to be going, a Marigold Station, though. As I say, most of the ants are really not that bloody difficult to take out, especially with a crit in the head, so we can sort all this out nice and simple. I just remembered why we've already passed by this bit of the world. We came here for the naughty nightwear, didn't we? Right, I must have met Bryan while I was doing that, then just completely forgot about it. So okay, step 1, return to, yes, the exact location we've been to before. Just loop round the tunnels towards Grady's package. You'll know you're in the right location because this lovely rotating yellow light will tell you you're going the right way. Go straight past that. That was where we got the... Okay, Lugnut is apparently still just hanging around for reasons best known to himself. No need to cause trouble with him whatsoever. We kind of, scared him off with a speech check. No problemo. So yes, just keep on keeping on. Then round this side, cross over to the other track because on the way, say hello to the corpse of William Brandis, which is beautiful. And the lad's got himself, obviously, a whole bunch of energy ammo, together with a laser pistol, which makes sense. He was tied to the Enclave, he's going to have access to and familiarity with energy weaponry. Lovely. This also gets you a key so you can crack open the stash back in his house. The stash, however, is only hard locked, so honestly you don't really need the key. The contents aren't brilliant either. 2 missiles and a missile launcher though. I suppose perhaps if you really want to, you could read into this, he might have acted as, say, a heavy gunner for the Enclave back in the day. Maybe this was, you know, his Enclave weapon. Instead, just beyond Brandis's corpse, yes indeed. This is what I want to see, Lesko's lab, and just beyond the door you can see the green tick of Lesko right there. Now, the conversation you have with Lesko is really bloody interesting because it adapts depending on how capable your character is of engaging with Lesko. So, yes, let's just cross them off here. Lesko is highly intelligent, good at science, and very specifically, he's studying insects. He's an entomologist. So, as a result of that, there are 3 things your character needs to do in order to be able to properly engage with Lesko. Number 1, have a nice decent intelligence. Okay, I'm at 7, maybe I'll boost it with a handful of mentats before we go through the door. Number 2, have good science. I'm up to 98, you can't possibly say fairer than that. But number 3, the big one, he's an entomologist, so naturally that means if you're an entomologist, you can actually engage with him way more thoroughly. And because it's such a tiny minor perk that almost nobody will ever take, I've used console commands to give myself this perk for this episode, just so I can actually access the speech options, because, seriously, like, nobody takes this perk. Though, you know what? With Broken Steel, it did become a lot more useful, because it affects rad scorpions, and Broken Steel added some really big rad scorpions. Though, it shouldn't affect rad scorpions, because entomology is the study of insects, and scorpions are not insects. Game, dear oh flipping dear Bethesda, 0 out of 10. So having downed some mentats, let's have a nice chat with Dr. Lesko.
My experiments are of a complex nature and would take a scientist to explain. Oh wait, I'm a scientist, how marvelous. My foray into reducing the girth of these insectoid creatures is of utmost importance. I intend to generationally reduce their immense stature by way of a pre-birth induced mutagen. Isn't that clever?
And here we flipping go. So naturally we can just say, okay, you're going to need to explain that using shorter words, but with intelligence of 7, no, I know precisely what's going on. You're injecting something into the eggs to make them a bit smaller.
I'm afraid I've made slight miscalculations in the mutagen. Instead of lowering their size, the brood hatched with a new biomechanism. I call their genetic aberration pyrosis, the ability to emit flame from their bodies. I may be able to correct this error, but I can't get near my equipment.
And here we flipping go. Once again, Intelligence 7, I am shocked you would not attempt this in a controlled environment, Dr. Lesko.
Your knowledge of experimental procedure surprises me. Indeed, I have skipped a step and directly modified an entire brood. Perhaps I was too hasty. I was so certain it would work. To correct this mistake, I'll need to get to my terminal to modify the mutagen. My portable terminal is set up in the hatchery chamber near the Ant Queen. If I can reach it, I can continue to work on improving the mutagen.
And a very important step before we dig even deeper into the science here, Dr. Lesko, I'm going to be needing an incentive, and yes, this is one of those times it's really important to actually ask to make sure you get a reward, because yeah, you need to do that with Agatha, or you just don't get the Black Hawk, and you need to do it with Lesko, or you don't get his lab coat, and his lab coat is actually the best science boosting apparel in the entire game. Plus 10 to science, really nice. Every other lab coat and variant thereupon only gives plus 5.
Why can't man follow the ants' example? They work together as a team, every waking moment dedicated to the colony. They require no wealth or material items. Everything they need is provided for them by their fellow insects. But I digress. If it's payment you need, all I can offer is one of my mutagenic bioenhancers.
You know what? That's fine. I don't really need the lab coat. I've already got science of almost 100. So I'll just take the bioenhancers. That's fine. So here we flipping go, the secondary science follow-up. So let's talk about the experiments. And with science of 50, yes indeed, something's not right here, Dr. Lesko. You shouldn't have got results like this so bloody fast.
Well, I may have used a few, shortcuts, yes. I was told that the FEV works wonders when used under controlled circumstances. Apparently I was wrong, but I know my mistake. I'm certain I can get it to work.
So there we go, with Science to 50 we can confirm what he's doing is injecting FEV into creatures in order to make them smaller. Despite the fact that's basically the opposite of what FEV does in every other instance. So, okay, the lad may not necessarily be that good a scientist. And the much bigger one right here, if you ask about the fire ants, then as an entomologist you could start speaking to him about specific ant behaviour. So, Dr. Lesko, ants exhibit class system behaviour, so I'll try and kill the queen fast, I suppose.
Must I again remind you that the queen is to remain completely unharmed? If she's hurt or killed, there's no telling how long it would take me to find a suitable new subject. Just let me issue the inhibitor pulse and it will have a similar effect.
I do enjoy how, yes, if you try and actually come at him with ant knowledge, he starts getting annoyed at you. It's lovely. So that's all done, leave Lesko behind, and let's get this all wrapped up. Because yes, at this point it's all actually pretty bloody simple. The dungeon we're going into, the hatchery, it's basically just a straight line with a handful of slightly tough guardians in it, and yes, especially as I've given myself the entomology perk, these guys are not really that tough at all. So that was just a shot in, okay. That's a shot in the head right there. These guys are going down no problem whatsoever. So just a mosey past the last handful here, no problemo, because yeah, flames against my armor, not gonna do anything at all. Just a couple of shots to finish you off, lovely, one solid crit does the job, and now we need to decide what we're gonna do next, because officially, we've done what Lesko asked us to. The ant's dead, meaning all we need to do is mosey on back to him, he'll give me the reward, job done. But, no, we're going to do the right thing, damn it, because Lesko is not a very good scientist, alright? He's been doing bad experimental procedure, so not only are we going to destroy his life's work, we're going to educate him as to why we did it and make him come round to our point of view. The classic trick with this mission, by the way, has always been, yes, at this point you just go back to Lesko, get the reward from him, and sight or and might, boosting my special strength or perception by 1, then you just run back downstairs, destroy the FEV, kill the queen, etc, etc. But you don't actually have to. If you're good enough at science to out-science him, you can just kill the queen right now, and persuade him it was the right thing to do. So, step 1, just make sure we're taking out the antenna right here. Sneak attack crit, marvellous, and she's frenzied, so just back away. That means, yes, the robot and her will now turn on each other. Beautiful. And more importantly, that means she's not aiming at me for a moment, though actually Hollow Point will do that. Never mind, I think now that guy's dead, though, yeah, Hollow Point rounds will melt her. We really don't need to be, yes, worrying about any of that. She's as good as done at this point, lovely. So, down the queen goes, magnificent, that's her nice and dead, only 32 XP, feels very underwhelming, lovely, but we're not done sorting out the problem yet, oh no, we've got plenty more to do. So, mutagen tank right here, let's just crack open this guy's computer, because I'm good enough at science to do that too. In fact, I'm good enough at science to guess the password right, first time, beautiful. Step 1, send the inhibitor pulse. That's going to make all the ants turn on each other. Though, to be honest, I'm pretty sure I just manually killed all of them already, but what can you do? And step 2, screw your FEV sample. You cannot be trusted with it, clearly. So, various noises and explosions are from above. Basically, yes, I've destroyed everything this guy loved and worked for. And obviously, yes, if you want to, you can also pick up pheromones here if you need those for Rivet City. So alright, let's go, let's have a nice science off.
You utter buffoon! You've set my work back months, perhaps even years! Destroying the mutagen was not part of what we discussed. Now, if you'll excuse me...
And here we flipping go. We've got 2 ways to get around this. A speech check, which I find, a bit on the cheap side, but... with sufficient science, Dr. Lesko, you, sir, are a bad scientist. I had no choice but to science intervene.
Spoken like a true disciple of science. I will restart my calculations from the beginning and learn to crawl before I try to run. I suppose I shouldn't be angered by your actions. Forgive my impertinence.
And there we go. Not only have I sorted out the problem, I've turned Dr. Lesko into a better scientist. Though yes, thinking about it, I really should not be willing to accept the mutagenic bioenhancer injection from this guy, because we know he is literally 1, a bad scientist, who 2, is using FEV, so presumably that's what's in the syringe. So I really should not accept this, but I'm going to anyway because it's bloody useful. So yes, I can now boost either strength or perception by 1. Perception in Fallout 3 is completely garbage because it doesn't even boost Vat's chance to hit, because I don't know what the hell Bethesda were thinking when that decision was made. So yeah, strength. That's the option for me, because 1, bonus carry capacity, and 2, the ability to use bigger weapons. Marvellous. And here he comes with the syringe. Be flipping beautiful. Together with a bit of fire resistance too. There we go, 25%. Which is actually, again, pretty useful once the Enclave show up because, yeah, they do use fire weapons on occasion. So, with the answer taken care of, that means there's just one thing left to do. And that's finding Bryan Wilks a home. And to do this, there are 4 possible solutions, though most people are only aware of 3. And there's a very specific reason for that. Obviously, you can only suggest he goes somewhere where you've already been. So, suggestion number 1, just tell him to stay here and live on his own in Grayditch. Bit of an unsatisfactory conclusion, but it's an option. Option number 2, go to Vera in Rivet City. In fact, Bryan will even tell you he's got relatives there.
Papa always told me about my cousin Vera. She lives in some big giant ship somewhere or something. Papa called the place Rivet City, but I don't know where it is.
So there we go. Most people assume that's the intended positive solution. Get him to Rivet City, that's the correct way to do it. There are, however, 2 other alternative solutions. Number 1, Paradise Falls. You can go and speak to Eulogy and come to an agreement with him to enslave Bryan Wilks, a nice evil solution. But there is a third neutral option. Because he's a child, he can go to Lamplight. The trick being, just like how you have to go and speak to Eulogy to open up the enslave option, you've got to go and speak to MacCready to open up the joining Lamplight option. And here we go, back with MacCready, and I've got a kid out in Grayditch, just like you. He's on his own, no parents. Give him a chance, MacCready.
You're killing me here, Mungo. Fine, you can send him here. But I'm not going to do any special favors for him or anything. He's got to pull his weight.
So there we flipping go, we've got a home arranged for Bryan Wilks. He now gets to join Lamplight, which the game deems morally neutral. And as soon as that's done, yeah, nip back to Wilks' house. His dad's corpse is gone, it's been buried, the ants are gone too, the fires have been put out. Honestly, good job, Bryan. And here we go, the option you've probably never seen before. I've found you a place with lots of kids your own age. I'll tell you how to get there, Bryan.
Well, it would have been nicer to live with Vera, but this will probably be pretty fun too. I can't believe everything you've done for me. Most people would have kept on walking when I ran up to them screaming like I did. I'll get my stuff together and move on out there right away. Come visit me sometime.
So there we go. Honestly, a bit ungrateful to actively say to me I would rather have gone somewhere else. But what can you flipping do, eh? And if I recall correctly, it does actually take him a bit of time to cross the wasteland. So we'll check in with him later, at the same time as I check back in with Knock Knock once we've done a bit more of the main plot. But in the meantime, there's one more thing I want to cover in this bit of the world, which is Marigold Station is not a dead end. It leads to another walled bit of the DC ruins. So yeah, just where we were a moment ago, where you would turn right to mosey on in that direction down towards the Naughty Nightwear, or indeed towards What's-His-Face's corpse, just go straight on, and we're heading out into the wasteland again. Because unlike many districts, this is not just a handful of ruins, there's actually a proper tiny mission in here. So just step outside and straight away. Yes, indeed, we've got a handful of trouble. This does generally happen the first time you arrive in Falls Church from this direction. So, okay, just being a tiny bit short here, I'm sure it's going to be fine. Excuse me, Mr. Super Mutant Brute. None of that if you'd be so kind. And none of that, so just shoot him in the back a bit. Lovely. And beyond him, we've got a named character. Say hello to Paladin Hoss. And, yes, make sure he doesn't die, by the way, because he can. Everyone in this mission can die. So it's very possible to completely fail it or not even realise it's here, because this guy just dies to super mutants. Especially if you are really unlucky and, say, too many Masters or Overlords spawns.
Stranger, I thank you for your aid. We must press forward. If you are willing to aid us, you are welcome to join us.
And here we flipping go, we've actually got the opportunity to help out the Brotherhood, which you can do right at the start of the game, even when every other Brotherhood person you speak to refuses to cooperate with you. Sarah Lyne says they're not looking for recruits, the people at the Citadel front door won't even speak to you. Yes, Paladin Hoss here will basically take help from anybody. Apparently, he's just really desperate for an extra pair of hands.
We were performing a training exercise with one of the initiates when we were cut off by the super mutants. We saw him flee into a building up ahead during the attack, but before we could link up with him, we were pushed back. Now that we've cleared this area, we can press forward and attempt to recover the initiate. I only pray that he is unharmed. He's had enough training that he should know that when facing overwhelming odds, a brother's best recourse is to wait for reinforcements. I suspect that he is making a stand inside of that building, but an initiate won't be able to stand for long against those mutants.
And there we flipping go. We've now got ourselves a temporary ally. Paladin Hoss and his lovely rifle is willing to help me out a bit, though. Okay, when I say help me out a bit, I need to be helping him out a bit. Otherwise, he is going to flipping die, because there are many cocking mutants in this bit of the world. So, seriously, stop running ahead, you stupid bastard, okay? Just let me deal with the mutants one at a time. Bare minimum, he is distracting them, so that's good, I suppose. And there we go. Just keep on keeping on. Stay on top of this guy, and please let there not be anything too bad. Okay, for the time being, just basic brutes are under control for the moment. Oh, that's a lot of people, actually. No. Everything's fine aside from the fact, okay, just ran out of ammo. That's fine. Let's crack open something, you know, nice and powerful. Railway rifle. We've not used you in a while. That thing hits like a bloody truck, and seriously, the fire rate on it is pretty bloody good, too. Does a good job staggering enemies as well. Right, you can just go down. You just died, didn't you? Oh, never mind, you just went down there to hide like a coward. Marvellous. So, really fun fact about this area, by the way, which is, it's got 2 locations in it with identical names, which is really bloody weird and also very unhelpful, because Paladin Hoss said, hey, this guy retreated into a nearby office building, go and help him. Well, just round the corner from where he says that, you have got, you know, very clearly flagged with a giant entrance sign, an office building right here. This is not the right office building. It's a completely unrelated office building located round the corner from a different office building, which is really bloody weird. And even more confusingly, inside this incorrect office building, which is not the building containing the initiate you're looking for, you can find 2 dead Brotherhood of Steel initiates just lying here already dead, which would, you know, very much give you the impression that you'd failed to save the initiate, but you haven't. This is just a different, unrelated building with the exact same name as the building you're supposed to go into because, yes, this mission is a very odd one. There is in fact only one thing of note in this particular office, which is a note left on this here terminal. I don't know what's happening. The sirens went off 20 minutes ago. I hear something like thunder in the distance. We're not allowed to leave the building. I can't see what's happening in the street. I'm scared. I think this might be it. Everything we've been building up for, this might be the last thing I ever write. Whoever finds this, if I don't make it, tell my family I love them. Elise Walton, Department of Research Studies. So yeah, just a note left immediately after the nukes hits. But no. We don't want this office building with this particular entrance sign over the top of it. Obviously not. What we want, if I just leave that stupid fake building behind and mosey on round the corner in this direction, is this office building with an identical sign over it. Because, seriously, this area is bloody weird. You can also be sure you're in the right location because, yes, there should be living super mutants dotted about. Shouldn't be any problem dealing with them, though. There's really not that many. And, you know, any chance to nail a super mutant head to the ceiling, I'm never going to say no to. There we go. Last one goes down, I think. Just, I love nailing body parts to the walls with my guns. It's marvellous, and it should come back in future Fallout games, damn it. As should wonky Bethesda physics, okay? Bethesda physics these days is not wonky enough. It was wonky back in these days and I preferred it, damn it. Anyway, just murder or sneak your way past that handful of mutants right there, and then, yeah, we're making our way over to this location. And hello there, Initiate Peck, I'm here to get you out.
Oh, thank God. Paladin Hoss sent you, didn't he? I knew he wouldn't leave me behind. When they attacked, we were cut off so quickly. My gun jammed, and I never even got a shot off. I couldn't do anything but hide.
And super fun RPG touch here, he's not just saying that as like, a bit of flavour. Because his gun's jammed, you can actually do something about that.
Sure, I guess. Can you fix it?
And yes, I most certainly can, with either sufficient small guns or repair.
Wow, that's easy. Now at least I can shoot back at those mutant bastards. Are you ready?
So there we go, if you want to, sneak up to him, fix his gun, and you'll have an extra pair of hands helping you out when you're taking on the mutants. In this universe though, yeah, I've already taken out the mutants, so it's not too difficult to walk him straight back outside to his friend Paladin Hoss.
You've saved my life. I am in your debt.
You're very, very welcome. As for you, Hoss...
Good. He is safe. The Brotherhood are men of their word, and so here is your payment. Spend it well. Farewell, mercenary. May you find honor in your travels.
And there we flipping go, Initiate Peck has been rescued. Now, there's actually 2 rewards to this completely unmarked mission, which is, if you ask for money up front, you get money and that's the end of it. You were a mercenary, you did a deal, that's the end of your business. If you don't ask for money, and then turn down a reward, instead they're obviously a lot more friendly to you, and they just start following you around, helping you out with clearing the area. For me though, yes, I think we are well under control when it comes to super mutants. I'm also doing these guys a favour because there's one other thing in this area. A really nasty hidden dungeon buried away in the ruins that's got a really interesting story inside it. But I would say that's enough for now. How about we save that to kick off next week as we do another episode digging through the DC ruins. So hopefully you join me for that. But in the meantime, I've been John, so it's been many a true nerd. And this has been Fallout, Tale of Two Wastelands. Thank you very much, and goodbye. If we just hide the bodies, nobody needs to know about this. Yes! My stupid plan has worked! It turns out I'm a genius! The giant rat scorpion is not gone! Oh, hang on, there's more yet though, I'm still being very shocked. Guys, where's the NCR? Nobody needs to know.